Happened in the 90s.
I feel like there are a couple staples that sitcoms go to. Somebody gets a job offer, moves out of town, or both. Goes to school. A main character goes to school, or somebody gets married and they get taken out of the main cast.
Okay.
And yeah, man,
I agree.
it's good to see you, man.
Face to face, dude.
Again.
I love this.
Again, man.
I don't like that you stole my shirt, though, because, us adults over 40 that shop at Target, I was going to wear that, but...
It's the meeting place for middle-aged motherfuckers. I don't know what to tell you.
They got good fashion. I mean, shout out Target. I love it.
To us, is good fashion. I don't know. Is that what the kids like these days? The graphic tees with 90s references?
I'm trying to think of what their name brand is, because, I mean, it's literally 90% of my fashion. So, I don't know what that says about me, but I pull it off, Steve.
Tarjay, you hear that? We'll be back. Motherfuckers. But did you know that May 23rd is World Turtle Day?
I mean, no, but does that include Ninja Turtles? Because I'm in.
Now it does.
Okay.
I like turtles. And
it's a turtle in a trench coat.
Yeah. I mean, the effort is to acknowledge that turtles are here and to save the turtles because apparently they have a habit of wandering off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a turtle when I was a little boy that we just found outside, and to add credence to that, it wandered off, and I never found it again.
I don't get it. How do you lose a fucking slow-moving creature?
I left it outside in a little Tupperware thing that we had created, and Donatello got away, dude. He left. He had to get back to his boys.
Turtles are opportunists, then. That's what it sounds like. This is my moment. They're not looking. Let me get out of here.
The jail guy. The jail guy is fucking gone. Got to get back to my bros.
So
yeah, shout out Donatello though. That was cool. I found a box turtle and super hyped on it. And now I'm getting a little sad because I haven't thought about this in a long time. Steve, thanks for the fucking trigger warning.
And I miss my Uncle Charles, dog. I like turtles, man. Like. That's cool that you had a pet turtle. I've never had pets, let alone a turtle. And, I mean, if you're going to have a pet turtle, you got to name them after one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man.
I wanted to paint on the shell, but my mom and dad were like, you couldn't do that. I feel like you can. I feel like it'd be kind of cool. It's like a customization thing, but...
yeah, especially for us 90s kids.
Yeah.
But Sonia and George LeRoy, man, shout out to them because, like... I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't get a pet, let alone a turtle, and I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. Like when I was a dumb kid who didn't know any better. Like
yeah.
Oh yeah, what do you want to be? I want to be a Ninja Turtle.
Yep.
Oh, like that's totally not possible.
That was right above fireman for me for some reason. I really wanted to be a fireman when I was a little kid.
Maybe nowadays it is possible. I mean,
I kind of looked the part. I feel like a lot of firemen got stash.
True.
Arizona FD. If you ever watch that show, I kind of look like that dude. So, come on.
I want that gentleman to hose my house down.
I was gonna say something about hoses, but then I just go back to all the times that you've made me say pause or you've said pause to something. So I'm just gonna leave that one out.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
I gotta remember keep it right into my mouth. Speaking of pause, dude. Are we over the age of saying pause? Because I hear different stories. Like, man, come on. What grade are we in?
That's our only thing left. Like the vestige of the savages that we used to be with like just that general subject.
Yeah,
I still think it's a funny thing, man. Sometimes it's overused, because I could say pause on 50 things if you want to, but
yeah,
a nice well-timed pause every once in a while, I'll take it.
What we shouldn't do is no diddy.
No diggity?
No, we shouldn't do that's no diddy. The thing that's going on right now. I think it's whack, bro. I just think it's corny. We get it. Like, dude's always been zesty. Like, I knew in the 90s, dude was kind of zesty with the shiny suits and shit. But it's like, I just think the actual catchphrase, if you want to call it that, is kind of corny. It's whack. Like,
I haven't even no diddy.
No diddy.
I haven't heard that. I haven't even heard it. I'm so far out of out of the loop here.
Maybe that's a good thing.
But what would you like use that in a sentence? Is it the same as like no homo? Is that
it's
basically
the same as
what?
pause,
Oh,
no
okay,
homo.
got it.
That's what people are doing now.
Okay,
and
well, you know,
I could do without it. You know, I'm cool with my pause, and really, I'm not judging, but I don't.
I'll stick with that.
Yeah.
You know, Diddy's. It's gotten pretty spicy for the man, Steve. I don't know, us in the 90s, wasn't the biggest fan, but, you know, he had his hits at the 90s. But now, looking back.
He had some good hit writers in the 90s.
Yeah. Good. He had a couple of good features, you know. If you get him in the back, just kind of, yeah.
Well, who he was featuring with, that's who wrote that shit. Whatever he did. And like, once again, man, we're covering quite a few series finales, man. We've covered quite a few in the past. Just off the top of my head, I know we covered Home Improvement. We covered Fresh Prince.
Lovely.
What did we do? We did one recently, didn't we? Golden Girls.
Yeah,
Fucking
I was thinking of Quantum Leap, but I think
we
it was.
did.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
series finale.
Yeah, with the bar.
Yep.
Where he was talking to God, getting a couple of shots.
Where he was like a coal miner.
Yeah.
In the 40s or 50s. And I know we're leaving some out, man. But, you know, it's that time of the year. It's May, spring sweep month, if you want to call it that. And, you know, every now and then we have to say goodbye to some beloved sitcoms.
I mean, it's time for a wedding, you know? I actually appreciated it. I was not looking forward to this one, but kind of thought it was going to be so-so. But a nice series finale is hard to pull off in a good way. There's been a lot of, but, you know, salute to those who actually succeeded.
There's definitely some crap ones. And it's like, of course you want your story, if you're the writer or the creator, you want your story to, like, come full circle and give the ending some purpose. And just recently we covered one, Golden Girls. I feel like that was the proper send-off, man.
Yeah.
Like,
it seems like it was planned and they had a nice way that they wrote it well. Sometimes, sometimes they don't even know it's going to get canceled. So there's no satisfaction.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes where I think they know, and it's a hard thing to hit the landing. You know, you could really veer off and piss a lot of people off, but...
You hear that, Moesha creators? Where's Miles? Dub C just came in and took him, and, you know, justice for Miles. But, like, the fans, they deserve closure. You know what I mean? And Golden Girls and another sitcom that we're going to discuss, man, they gave us closure. I feel like there are a couple staples that sitcoms go to. Somebody gets a job offer, moves out of town, or both. You know, goes to school, a main character goes to school, or somebody gets married and they get taken out of the main cast.
Okay.
And yeah, man.
I agree. I got to add to that, Frasier, new job, and he was going after a lady, chasing after a woman. So it kind of fits in there, and it was very well done. So, but that wasn't in the 90s, Steve.
It started in the
talk
90s.
About it.
Yeah. And I miss fall already, man. That's when the pickings are ripe. You got all these selections, man, and then we're about to fall into like,
I kind of like when it's trash and we get to just watch some like BS TV or just a really trash wrestling event, you know?
What was that dog movie we covered? Fucking.
What was it? It wasn't Benji.
No, fuck no. At least people
Not
know
Benji.
about Benji.
Man, we smoke too. There's too much pot smoke, Steve. It's not going to happen.
The pickings was slim on that.
Balto.
No.
God damn it.
I hate I asked that question. But anyways, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, the show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your DMX and your D-Generation X. But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can be seen? Baby, I wanna kiss I'm a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get you stronger if you... All right. I'm not about to do
Shout out Seal, though. That's one of the bangers. And talk about a soundtrack song, Steve.
That's a fucking
I don't even know why I liked it as a kid. It seemed kind of like pussy, if I'm going to be honest with you, if I'm speaking in 90s terminology, but something about Seal, dude. Seal, Val Kilmer, Nicole Kidman.
But can you tell me any other Seal song?
I mean, fuck, I was just singing it in the car when we were
That wasn't that?
it wasn't that.
Oh,
it was
wow.
you've sung it. We've talked about Seal. Fuck. I'll think of it. But shout out also to the only U2 song I really have ever liked is on that soundtrack as well. It was really good. But
Yeah.
damn it, what is that Seal song? Because it's really funny. The hook's hilarious, and I can't. It's gone, Steve.
Yeah, I don't even know if, man, you sure you were talking? Because that's the only song I know.
It's Seal. We'll have to listen to it when we get off of the show. We're gonna pull some Seal up. There's one song in particular. It just has a weird hook, but it's good. You'll like it. But I mean, that's hard to do. You know, it's like if you have a hit like that, I don't know.
That's all.
It's hard to live up to, you know.
I give you props just for that alone.
And having Heidi Klum, right? That's who he married, right? I mean,
Heidi
they might
Klum?
not. I think it was Heidi Klum.
Yeah, he did. But they're not together anymore, I don't think. But either way.
And he could pull off a nice just shirt, nothing on under it, just billowing, which I could never do. You know,
One day.
Shout him out, maybe you're right. Just do more push-ups.
What? Today, my friend, we're talking all things May 23rd in the 90s. Starting off in 1991, at an NBC network affiliate, managers meeting at New York City's Carnegie Hall, Johnny Carson announces that he will be stepping down as host of The Tonight Show within May of the following year.
And TV wept. How many people were shitting their pants whenever he said that? Because I wonder how many people, if they saw it coming.
I mean, it was almost as big as the OJ case. It was that big of a deal because, you know, he announced that he had been on TV for over 30 years, him and Ed McMahon. And then the question was, who's his replacement? Is it Leno? Is it Letterman? And they made a whole, like, mini-series or a TV movie on HBO about that.
Late Shift?
The Late Shift, man.
Good.
And, yeah.
The guy who played Jay Leno, they really made him like look like him. It was really well done. I remember that.
The protruding chin,
Yeah.
I mean, that helps you get the role.
But I gotta say, I would have just loved to be in the meeting because I wonder if, like, I'm sure Ed McMahon had to know, but if he just was like, well, I'm gonna step down, and Ed McMahon's like, no, he just gave that to the classic.
That is incorrect, sir.
Oh, Johnny, no. But I mean, up until there was a lot of people that had like popular interview shows before Johnny, but I feel like there wasn't as big of a pressure for finding a replacement, you know, because obviously he was like the king of late night and shit.
Yeah.
So, man, it sucks to be those the execs.
And I mean, most of his prime was before our time, but like he set the blueprint because it's like the things that he did and laid down, all the others who we consider great, who we did see in our lifetime, kind of followed from the Arsenio's, the Jay Leno, Letterman, Conan, and now the Jimmys. You know, you get some great guests, the best guests that you can get, have them promote their album, their movie, or whatever, and then have a musical guest who's promoting their album. So, you know, shout out to Johnny, man, and Ed McMahon. But in 1993, Ren and Stimpy is airing Season 2, Episode 13, The Royal Canadian Kilted Yaksmen.
Yeah, it gets weird, guys. I think we all expected it. I thought this was a different episode. I thought this was the skinny slapping episode with the naked man, the naked old man.
Okay.
But this was not that. But it was one of those weird John K. What is the guy's name?
John Crickfalusi. That's
Yeah.
why they call him John K.
John K. Well, it's got John K. all over it. It's bizarre.
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't seem like it warranted him getting fired. But like you said, off camera, man, it had more to do with that. It was about his like behavior off camera and just like.
Yeah. I don't think it was the content of the show at all. I mean, obviously, because they got so much success off of it with all the weirdness. But, yeah, I think he was, if I remember right, just like sort of a tyrant.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre. Nickelodeon just had all these showrunners and stuff that were just fucking abusive, apparently.
Did y'all not have HR in Nickelodeon in the 90s?
I mean,
Like,
do some fucking research.
what the fuck, man? Check people's background before you hire. And, we start the story off with the story of the Royal Canadian Kilted Yaksmen. And the drill sergeant, he's saying, we always get our butts kicked. We need men with bigger hearts, bigger courage, bigger spirit, and only big men will do. And then you see Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, and there's like 3 just specimens there.
Brock Lesnar motherfuckers.
Yeah, just fucking their necks are swollen. They're all beefed up, but everyone's sweating bullets because what they are being asked to do is basically tame the untamed Canadian wilderness, which has a lot of dangers in it, apparently, a lot of potholes, a lot of stuff that can fuck you up. And the only person who's just chomping at the bit is Stimpy. Ren's sweating bullets. The guys, they're drenched. They look like me right now. You can't see it. They're sweating profusely. And the drill sergeant, or whatever the equivalent is in the Canadian mounted Yaksmen, he's ready to go with those big guys. But after Stimpy asks for that to go, he gives Ren and Stimpy the job, Steve.
Well, Stimpy gives him a $5 bribe.
Yeah. What is $5 Canadian dollars in American dollars? There's a quiz for you. It's probably worth more. I don't know.
In '93, I was probably at like $50.
Yeah, but now Ren and Stimpy, they're the men for the job. They're not big in stature, but they're big in heart.
But they're not even men.
No.
There's that part.
Yeah, that's a little, it's like now. They identify as men, Steve.
Well, I'm a Ninja Turtle then.
Exactly.
I'm
an X-Men. So.
I'm 2 of them actually. I'm Donatello, Michelangelo. Goddammit.
Nice.
And the rest of the men who aren't serving for the Canadian Kilted Yaksmen, they have to remain in the country with the women. And Stimpy, he says like, "Isn't that a pity, Ren?" And Ren just slaps the fuck out of dude. Like, dude, you idiot.
Slaps the eyeballs out of his head.
And then we go through the Lost Barren Wasteland. And Ren and Stimpy, they're facing hardship after hardship. Ren gets leeches. They get pelted with baseball hail. There's crabs in the toilet, so you can't even piss without like looking every which way. They get arrows shot at them. They come across a Kodiak marmoset, and he's punching the fuck out of them.
He's going Stone Cold Steve Austin on him. Just out. I thought he was huge, but then he gets up there. It's just like a little cannonball. Just yeah.
Those fists are huge, man. Thank God I've never came across a Kodiak.
That's why
marmoset.
I don't go to Canada, dude. I'm freaked out, especially after this.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was wild like that. I just thought there was a lot of like, Tim Hortons donuts, a couple of hockey fans, I don't know. That Hockey Town guy that always had the plaid outfits. I don't know if you remember that guy from CBC.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Can't call it, but some Bret Hart pop-up shops maybe.
Yeah, get in the dungeon. They should have stopped by the Hart Foundation, just gotten a little, pick-me-up.
You're a big son of a bitch, aren't you? I'm going to put you in the ankle lock. You're a big lumbering jack motherfucker. But, so there's that. And then they go through the Canadian jungle. That I didn't know Canada had jungles, but they do that, and they take a sip of water. There's no water in the canteen. It's just a canteen full of mosquitoes or bees.
I think they were bees.
Yeah, and Ren's fucking mouth gets stung the fuck up.
That's terrifying, by the way. Just if you think about that in real life, you think you're taking a nice sip of water, you get a mouthful of bees. I don't like that.
Yeah, I hate that for Canada.
And we get one of those gruesome close-ups of a bee stinging the fuck out of Ren's tongue, and then his ass gets pulled off because when bees sting you, obviously
they die.
They lose that butt. So appreciate the realism there, I guess we could call it.
That
John
was
K.
Yeah, that was the lore of John K animation, man. His shit was crude. It was realistic looking. More so than its counterparts, because it was released the same time as Doug and Rugrats, which were like more child friendly. And then you got this shit.
I mean, I told you when we were watching this, like to my parents, Ren and Stimpy became as bad as like a Beavis and Butthead. And I was not I was told not to watch it, obviously.
Yeah.
Your boy watched it. But, I don't think parents dug some of this animation style. A lot of butt cheeks, a lot of weird just close-ups. And if they watch like 5 minutes, I remember my mom and dad being like, "What the hell are you watching?"
Oh man, so you definitely ain't ready for me watching porn when,
Yeah.
when you walk in. Damn, yeah.
It was scrambled for a good, they only heard noises, Steve. So
And they're struggling, Ren and Stimpy, but yet they progress, man. They're going through the jungle to now the desert in Canada, and they singing the Royal Canadian Yaksmen song or whatever.
Yep.
And-
Our country reeks of trees. Keep going, Steve. I remembered that part.
Our yaks are really large, and
And
they
they
smell
smell
like
like
rotting beefs, carcasses.
Beef carcasses.
It goes on, dude, because this shit is like,
I mean, it's 3 minutes, dude. It's the real. And honestly, Canada, you might want to think about just changing your national anthem to this because you're going to get a lot of smiles and you're going to get a lot of praise,
agreed.
Especially
if it was sung by Bret Hart.
I would definitely, or Jim the Anvil Neidhart, rest in peace, if he could have
R.I.P.
done that.
And then, like, as they're trudging along the desert, man, one of the yaks just starts tweaking. He's like, man, fuck this shit. I've had enough. Y'all was on my back through the jungle, through the mountains and shit. Fuck this shit. You know what?
He has a Ren freak out. Ren's usually this guy, just losing it.
You idiot.
But Ren has to slap the yak out of him. Literally. He just gives him a nice pop, brings him back to, and now they're stuck in this Canadian desert. God forbid. And, you'd think they'd want some water. They're hungry. But there's no food, Steve. Or that's what we think.
That's what we think.
But what we find is that instead of the food that they have packed, what they're going to look for is Canada's national trademark, which is just dirt.
Yeah.
It's their leading product. So Ren puts a nice, delicious-looking turkey on a shovel. It's his divining rod, if anybody knows what the fuck that is, where you usually be looking for water. These guys are looking for some of that Canadian gold, I guess you'd call it.
Not just the full turkey, Matt, but like he had grapes.
Yep.
On top of like a bologna sandwich or some kind of sandwich, and that was like their lore of getting the dirt well.
Yeah. Toronto tea, Steve.
and now the yaks, they're walking now. Like they're tired of motherfuckers like riding their backs.
They evolve, dude. Fuck it.
And they're like, one of them is just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just stay here. Let's just catch some Z's.
Boom.
Digs his shovel into the ground, and then out comes a dirt well or a Canadian tea.
Toronto teas.
Toronto tea.
Trademark.
Shout out to Aubrey Graham, by the way. And, now they've struck dirt.
And it's there, Steve. It's right there. It's a big, it's coming out of the ground somehow. Looks like a big old geyser of poop. But that's what they want. So they get the dirt. We cut. Stimpy's a gourmet with dirt. He's got some dirt cakes. He's got a little dirt sausage that looks like some little turds
Poop
on the
sauce?
plate. I was going to say poop sausage, but
Poop sausage?
It's weird.
What the?
It's what it looked like. I can't help it.
I hope we don't lose our TikTok account for
Poop
this.
sausage. Hashtag poop sausage. But they get down. They grub down on this poop cake. And once again, we get a weird like close up where they're eating, and this always bothered me, like because Stimpy would eat like kitty litter sometimes, and they have this like grating, like gravelly sound when they're chewing, and it bothers me. I don't know what it's like ASMR in reverse.
It's like you could feel it.
Yeah, exactly.
Once again, shout out to John Kay because like I feel like he's a pioneer. Like
did dude ever make anything other than Ren and Stimpy? Did we get anything else with this style that wasn't that?
That's
what
great
I'm wondering.
question.
Because I would love to see if this guy was just given full reign, like what in the fuck would come out of his head?
I feel like he burned every bridge in Hollywood, man, because like he popped up years later and they let him participate in the Ren and Stimpy adult party show or some shit.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
I
like
remember
if you
that.
had some motion going, you would have been like, man, fuck y'all. Y'all like this is my baby and y'all disrespected me. So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he doesn't have motion, but we could be wrong. Y'all type in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. John K, if you're listening or watching right now, where are you?
We're live on TikTok. Like, that feels
TikTok.
good.
Yeah, I know. We finally pulled it off, Steve. Shout out to TikTok.
We can actually tell people, hey, say some shit if you want to, and then like they may.
We can't see it.
Yeah,
we're just sitting here recording, but call me Jimmy, call me Donnie.
Who's your favorite new kid? And then after all of this, man, they do the Royal Canadian Kilted Yaksmen anthem again, and then they just die. They stand in that same pose. They're just like, yeah.
Well, they plant the flag, Steve. They Lewis and Clark their way to the edge of the wilderness.
They made their mark.
Planted that flag, and then basically, I guess they just stood there until time lapsed to modern time, and their bones have been now covered up by a giant highway, a couple of billboards, but that's because of their hard work.
The OJ chase happened like right above their head.
Yeah. Yeah, but shout out to Ren and Stimpy. Tread in the wilderness and eating some poo sausage, Steve.
Poop sausage. Hashtag poop sausage. And that wasn't it, though, because we get like 2 little mini commercials with the Powdered Toast Man.
One of my faves. Powdered Toast Man! I forgot he flew backwards. It's just like, why would you do that? It's weird and it looks hilarious.
It's one of the things forever embedded in my brain because my buddy Ron, back in college, he dated this girl named Jen. I don't think she's watching this, but she had a booty chin, we would call her Powdered Toast Jen. But yeah, shout out to Jen.
Jen?
You're probably not watching, like I said, but
I like butt chins. I think it's kind of, it's majestic sometimes. It's like, remember
on a chick?
me, myself, well, I don't know. It depends on the rest of the jaw. You get a little some though. I mean, it might look all right.
On us, on a guy, a butt chin, yeah. It
Did
seems.
she have like a real fucking hard jaw, or was it, was it feminine and it just had a little butt on it?
You might be tempted to like wipe it with some toilet paper every now and then if you stare at it too long enough.
Sorry, Jen. I didn't mean to. I shouldn't have even brought anything else up. But what I love is that in this commercial, obviously they're trying to sell powdered toast. So these kids, they're hungry. They eat some powdered toast, and then it fills them with vitamin F, Steve.
Vitamin F.
That fills their trousers with vitamin F. It puffs them up, and then they just lift off.
Because it gives them strength in certain places.
Yeah.
And then they take off, the kids do, and then they see Powdered Toast Man in the sky, and then he tells them, hey, children can't fly. They slept. Yeah. They snap back into reality. They drop from the sky, but who's there to save them? Powdered Toast Man.
Better get a good grip on that tight buttocks, Steve.
Yeah, he saved them with their
wink,
butt.
Wink.
Yeah,
definitely. But that's how he always saves people, with that butt, doing a lot of squats. But
ironically,
exactly. These commercials were part of it because we get Log, which was a big one. And they always had these funny little, almost like the SNL fake commercials where it just added a little something. It wasn't really a story, but you just got a nice little Spumco commercial to end the episode. In this case, we get 2.
Man, I'm telling you, John K., he was a pioneer, bro. Like, nobody cartoon-wise was doing this type of shit. And then we get another cartoon. It's Sugar Sod Pops. It's a side of grass in the form of a cereal.
It doesn't look tasty, Steve, but the mom, she takes a nice big mouthful of it. And I don't remember the tagline, but again, it's gross. It's hilarious. And you said this is the last episode that John K. had anything to do with the show.
Until the Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon in 2003.
But the actual OG show, John K. hit the bricks.
Yeah.
Enough of this skinny slapping you've been talking about.
But you know who probably didn't watch this in 1993, Matt?
Other than my mom and dad, who?
Probably Eric Bischoff and the rest of WCW in 1993 because Slamboree 93 is being aired from the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. And you saw a little bit of this.
Yeah. They were still fine-tuning the sauce, Steve. It hadn't fully matured. You know?
Yeah, Hogan hadn't came over there yet. They haven't gotten Scott Hall, Kevin Nash.
The lights weren't completely working correctly.
There was that.
Other than Bischoff, what was the girl's name?
Missy Hyatt.
Missy Hyatt.
She was
Missy
a
Hyatt. Hottie. Cannot work a mic for shit though. Missy, great. Eye candy for Bischoff to. He had to have his lady with him, but
Wouldn't
they
kick her
just
out
had.
of bed.
I feel bad for Bischoff in this, and like when we were watching it, I feel like there were times where Eric Bischoff went into backstage and was just like, guys, what's going on here? We paid you guys some good money, and the lights. You turned the lights off. I'm mid fucking conversation with Missy on stage. Like, what's going on here?
But they played it off, man. And like the subtitle, it's like a Legends reunion. I think that's what it was because they start
God, I forgot. I definitely forgot about
They
this.
start the pay-per-view off, and I have to be selective about my vernacular, like doing this live on TikTok. But it's very such and such erotic. You fill in the blanks. There's like this ring full of old timers who wrestled in the Carney days when there were like matches at circuses, and then coming to the ring is this like group of greased up like dad bod dudes wearing Speedos, and it's kind of like the whole like Julius Caesar like kind of Colosseum shit. They're carrying this thing that's holding somebody. It's like a carriage, like a human carriage, and the person that comes out is Fabulous Moolah. And it's just like, I don't know, like all these dudes, it's not even like they were Lex Luger. They were like, they look like somebody's uncle.
It was they looked like they worked at a body shop. They were just like, you're already greasy.
It's your
Take that
carburetor.
shit. Yeah, dude. I don't get it. I feel like also the majesty that they gave Fabulous Moolah, and no disrespect, she's a legend, but they had a bunch of legends in the ring, including like Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Okay, these weren't all just weird jabronis, but they're sitting there just like talking to each other like it's a fucking barbecue, and then this man train of just weird dad-bodied dudes come out greased up, and I was like, is it going to be like a supermodel or some celebrity I can't think of, or somebody, somebody, but it was just Fabulous Mule. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect.
You're a legend.
Yeah. But put Dusty Rhodes in there, in terms of like celebrity.
I got bigger titties than her daddy.
Yeah. Put what was his name? What was the lady's name he went with?
Sapphire.
Yeah.
Put me in there with Sapphire, baby. They can hold both of us.
That shit gonna break. We gon' if the carriage knocking, rocking, don't come a knocking.
Yeah, I mean,
it didn't make sense, Steve. And as far as like getting me excited for an event, I don't think a ring full of octogenarians, an old lady, and a bunch of greased up men with just tighty whities on is really the way to set the standard. Yeah.
Here comes John Smith. Oh yeah, I remember John Smith. Yeah, put him in a wrist lock. Yeah, he's got him in a wrist lock. But somebody who probably didn't watch any of that shit in 1993 is probably the cast of Life Goes On, because ABC airs the final episode, and I mean, I just remember it as
It was the one with Corky.
The one with Corky.
It's Corky. He was the celebrity. This is how everyone was introduced to like Down syndrome and like tackling that with some class. Corky was great. Yeah. He was a celeb. He did become, everybody used it as sort of a hack joke, I think.
Unfortunately, we were ignorant.
Did life go on, Steve? Do you know what happened to Corky?
Well, Corky, the main storyline starting off was obviously he had Down syndrome, and his parents wanted to take him out of the short class.
Yep.
And there was always this like butting of heads between them and the school staff. Like, no, like we're not going to put him in with the like regular student classes. And they eventually like relented because he was above average as far as like what was expected of him because of his thing. But he always had difficulty with math. So the series finale was about him taking the SATs, and he could not pass the math part. Okay. And so, like, that's how we left off, man. I mean, obviously there's storylines with his sisters. He had two sisters, and there were storylines with them. One of his sisters dated a guy with AIDS. It was a really
Damn, this family was just going. It was just a
Yeah.
really tough life. For no wonder life had to go on, Steve. They needed a break.
But that guy that played Corky, he did get some accolades for that role because I remember at the time when it happened, it was a big deal. And being somebody of special needs, man, he held it down. Like it's like Down syndrome kind of went mainstream. He's like the Michael Jackson of Down syndrome people. Like
Because he was, in a way. I mean, I don't want to. This sounds like I don't want to sound insulting, but he was like cute, and he was funny. He was the guy who would because in the show, obviously a storyline with a Down syndrome character is always going to be people doubting him, people saying things about him,
Right.
and they'd be like, "Well, he can't." It'd be something like, "Well, what's he going to do?" And then he'll be like, "What the." He'd snap on him. I don't want to do the voice because I don't want to get us canceled. But
yeah, TikTok.
he would take people down. Before he was like the actual. He had more humor than anybody else. Everybody else was protecting him, and he's like, "Fuck that! I don't need that."
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it's not even available streaming, but
that's weird.
I
Because
could
it was
watch
a
it.
big thing.
Yeah. It's certain shows I could watch now and probably appreciate more. And I feel like that's one of them, man. But somebody probably didn't watch any of this shit in 1993 is David Koresh, because 1 month after federal agents make an infamous raid on him, NBC broadcast a hastily produced television movie based on the incident, In the Line of Duty, Ambush in Waco. And Tim Daly plays Koresh. So Tim Daly probably wasn't watching any of that shit, or David Koresh. That was a wild time to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy, it's a wild thing to when you actually watch the real shit. Obviously, we were very young, and I wasn't really clocking Waco like that, other than it was something that was on the news when my parents watched it. But, seeing the federal government killing a bunch of people, using a tank to just burn the shit out of, it was a wild thing. And obviously, David Koresh was a psychopath and shit, but, there's a lot of conspiracy, a lot of weird feelings about that, because I feel like the general consensus is the government kind of overstepped a little bit, and a lot of people died that didn't have to. And it went on for so fucking long too. It was like you said, like a month.
Excess casualties, man.
It's wild.
Yeah, R.I.P. to everybody involved. But that following year, Seal releases his self-titled debut album, Seal. And look, the only thing I know about Seal is that song, but I listened to it over the week, and it's actually banging.
I'm telling you, dude. See?
Still.
And I guarantee you that song I can't remember is on that. Because I don't know how many albums dude had, but this is probably the one.
I mean...
this is the one that got him the heat so he could be on Batman Forever soundtrack.
That shit goes hard, man. I feel like he's the male Sade. Because, listen to the other songs that weren't Kiss from a Rose. It gives me the same, easy go. Damn, this is, flowing R&B melody. And dude's a great singer. The only other thing I know about Seal was Laura Winslow and Max. They were trying to go to a Seal concert.
Oh, I bet you will go to a Seal concert in the early 90s, Steve. It's just jam-packed with just lovely ladies just wanting to just pull that billowing shirt off.
They wanted to lick them scars. But on that same day in 94, the final episode of Evening Shade airs on CBS. And R.I.P. to Burt Reynolds. I never watched this show. I know it was...
George and Sonia love this. This was one that I had to get out of the room whenever this shit came on.
That's my cue.
Evening Shade.
Yeah.
Picket fences, too. Remember that fucking bullshit?
Also on CBS, I believe.
Yes, it was.
Are we throwing shade at Evening Shade? But shout out to Burt Reynolds. I remember it being talked about because he was nominated just about every year for best actor in a comedy series or something. And then it also had Ozzie Davis, R.I.P. to him too.
Well, and if you think about it at the time, I think when people were doing movies, they rarely ever went back to TV. I think that was kind of an L for actors. And he crossed that line. And I mean, he was obviously very successful at it. So,
yeah, 4 seasons and 101 episodes. And on that same day in 94, the final episode of Star Trek The Next Generation airs in syndication. I know you're more of a Star Wars person. If you had to pick, pick a side, like 21 Savage would say. But I can see how people would be in this Star Trek The Next Generation Because even within that, there's a divide of, do you like the OG version? Do you like the TNG? Or do you like the one with Scott Bakula in it? And
I'm a TNG. If I have to pick it's TNG all day. Because we get Jean-Luc Picard, we get LeVar Burton, we get the dude with the beard who I always liked. His second
he just
in
seemed
command.
cool. Yeah, I know
he
he
seemed like a badass. Data, the robot guy.
He was a child star. Will Wheaton.
Yeah. No. Will Wheaton was a kid, but Data is the guy. He was just the robot. He was in other shit, but you'd have to look it up. But also, a couple of fine ladies on it, and I think Whoopi was in this show.
Whoopi was in the show, and yeah, man.
And I didn't confuse her with another black woman, Steve. It was Whoopi.
There you go.
See?
There you go. She totally wasn't Queen Latifah.
No.
And yeah, man. And this was the one that existed in our lifetime. Because we can watch the reruns of Spock and Captain Kirk and shit, but like I remember this in syndication in the afternoons on the weekends and shit.
Captain's log.
I just
thought. They made it look cool and stuff. And shout out. I'll give you one that got me because I was a horny little kid. But there's an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. You can look this up. There's a woman with short blonde hair who I thought was sexy at the time. I think she was in a couple of contact lens commercials too. But there's something going on the spaceship where everyone gets horny. And it's a real, like, kind of sexual episode almost, where everyone's, like, sort of pulling the zipper down on the jumpsuit and stuff. Little Matt I was in for the full hour, and I never watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. So shout out to that episode.
Well, I will now.
Yeah, sound out on TikTok if you remember which one this was, but there is definitely a very horny episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And whoever that blonde lady was, Little Matt Geddick, was all in. She looked like... almost like a gymnast, like a girl gymnast. You can look it up. But she was, it was getting real horny on the Star Trek Enterprise.
But they never did that on Star Wars.
No, you're right.
They don't fuck. Are they eunuchs in that universe?
Well, there's children, so there's got to be some fucking going on, but it didn't get hot and heavy like it did on this episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Set their phasers on horny because they were busting all over that spaceship, Steve. They had to really wipe off those control places. Even Worf was busting nuts.
Man, I'm sure they have parodies, like porn parodies of both of them.
There has to be, Steve.
And that following year, the final episode of Full House airs on ABC. We're not covering it for an obvious reason. It sucked.
Boo. I love the Tanners. We love them all. But, sometimes, like we said, it's hard to stick that landing, Steve. And to be honest with you, I don't think their heart was in it, and they brought it back. They cheapened it.
They brought it back, but it was like you should have left it where it was. It was capturing lightning in a bottle. You can't do it twice. Because watching it now, a lot of the content is corny. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I still appreciate it because, I like corny shit. I'm a corny guy. Fuck it. Fuck the might be.
We're old school.
We're old school.
We're in our 40s.
We're in our 40s. So, with that being said, it's just like you should have left that in the 80s, going into the 90s, and they dropped off at the right time. But this 2-part final episode where Michelle rides a horse and she catches amnesia, which has always been like a sitcom ailment. Like, I don't know anybody that's ever caught amnesia. I know people who've had dementia in my family.
Okay.
Yeah, but
that's a real thing. I'm sure amnesia is too, but I've never seen it either.
And
it's convenient, though.
It's convenient, and it's like the second part of the episode. The last episode is basically her trying to remember her family. Oh, what is this dog? What is a dog?
Did they show her Uncle the little wallpaper bunny patch for Uncle Jesse? Like, hey, remember Uncle Jesse?
Well, they did little shit like that. And then, I think Bob Saget or Uncle Jesse going through the photo albums, and Michelle gets pissed. She's like, I've had enough. No, I don't remember any of this stuff. But eventually, by the end of the episode, she does remember because they have Ashley and Mary Kay Olsen in the same scene kind of deal where one hops out of the body and she speaks to the real...
whoa.
Yeah, it's one of those out-of-body experiences. And she's like, yeah.
Snap out of it, dummy.
These are your people. This is your uncle. He says, have mercy a lot. And your dad, da, 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 da. And like it. My thing is this: as long as you have at least a scene, a final scene where there's a warm embrace of the main cast, and they at least did that, Matt.
Okay.
They did that. I give the
They
premise.
had to. It was that kind of show, you know? But I was checked out by then, you know? But Stephanie, at that point, I definitely had a crush on her. And
She's
still
my
do.
favorite.
She's very hot. I forget her name. What's her name in real life? Sorry.
I follow her too. Damn it.
Stephanie Tanner, you're loved by everybody. But Full House, it jumped the shark, Steve, to use a term from further on the timeline. And it just didn't do it justice. You know, Jesse, I wanted to see Jesse like ride off on a bike. I wanted to see something, maybe do like a Beach Boys thing. Were the Beach Boys in it?
No.
Were the Rippers in it?
No Rippers.
What the fuck were you guys thinking?
Who are the ad wizards who came up with this one? But shout out to Full House, man. We love you. But 1997, The Lost World Jurassic Park premieres in theaters. A research team is sent to the Jurassic Park Site B Island to study the dinosaurs there, while an InGen team approaches with another agenda. Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, Pete Postlethwaite, and Arliss Howard.
Is Vince Vaughn in this?
He is in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I dug this.
The reason he's in it is because Steven Spielberg went to a swingers watch party, and he was amused with Vince Vaughn's performance, and he basically gave him the go-ahead, like, hey, bro, you want to be in my next shit?
Damn.
And that's like the biggest kudos. Like, this is the Bergs, bro. This is the fucking Bergs.
How you know how pumped he was after that? Like, dude, Spielberg just asked me to be in some shit.
If you were his old friend, you'd hate to be around that motherfucker
So
after that
fucking
shit.
money, and he doesn't even know it, Steve.
Yeah.
That's so fucking crazy. But people talk shit about this.
Yeah.
But I like this. Goldblum
I
has
do
a
too.
little black girl child. She's got some gymnastic stunts in it that I dug. They actually don't they take a baby dinosaur like Tyrannosaurus Rex in a car? Like they actually bring a Tyrannosaurus to the United States, if I'm not mistaken, at the end. And there's this whole fucking hullabaloo where they get chased by the T-Rex in a car throughout the city and then have to like get them back on the boat type thing.
I should have watched this before.
I'm telling you, dude.
I mean,
I'm right. People out there, I'm right.
Well,
and that movie, it gets talked shit about, and it's not as good as Jurassic Park, obviously, but it ain't bad.
I
Watch
agree.
it.
I watched it in the theater, man. I haven't watched it since '97.
Sometimes I get it confused because the third one, I believe, has William H. Macy in it, and Sam Neill comes back. So yeah, we're right. We're dead on. Jeff Goldblum kills it. His kid kills it. Vince Vaughn kills it. Julianne Moore kills it. And this also has one of the freakiest moments where they're in a truck on the island. Mm-hmm. It gets pushed over the edge, and there's a big glass, like it's the windshield, but they're like resting on it, and it's slowly cracking, and they're like obviously like thousands of feet in the air. Yeah. Very pulse pounding action. So Lost World gets 2 Tyrannosaurus Rex thumbs up from me.
Same. But in 1989, Sister, they're airing their series finale. It's season 6, episode 22, Fly Away Home. It's Lisa's wedding day, and she is really nervous. So nervous, in fact, that she runs out of the church and goes to a bar and meets up with her past friend, Foxy Jones. Ray later finds her at the bar and talks her into marrying Victor. At the wedding, the twins' old friend Roger Evans returns and sings for Lisa at the wedding. We didn't see that.
Yeah, they cut that out?
Yeah, they had to.
The fuck? Go home, Roger. You know, I gotta say, Steve, this is not something I would have been excited for back in the day. I wasn't excited really to watch it, other than I was watching with my boy here and live and in living color. But it was a satisfying resolution to the show. Even had I forgotten the actual story of how this thing came about, but I think it was real. It was fun. I mean, it had some weirdness.
Yeah. That girl has my face. And like somebody gets married, man. It's a finale where a main character gets married. And I'm going to be real with you, man. I kind of wished, from my perspective, I think it would have been better if she married Ray. It would have made more sense. Like you adopted 2 sisters who are sisters of each other. Y'all, we're living in the same house. It just made sense to me, but like I'm a simplest like that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. It does make sense. But you know what? Jack K, she just didn't like. Wasn't like that. They were like more like best friends.
Co-parenting,
Yeah.
of sorts, in a way. And we start this off with Lisa. She's cleaning house, and she's trying on her wedding garb here and there. She comes across a picture of her, the girls, and Ray. And Tia comes in, and she's worried about the changes. Or Lisa's worried about the changes after living in the same house with everybody for 6 years.
Yeah, it's gonna break the family up. But the family's breaking up. Tia and Tamara are going off to do their own thing.
Yeah.
One of them's going to the WNBA. One of them's going on a trip. To
Africa.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And
along the way, like one of it's Tamara's real dad. He comes into the picture, and he is supposed to take her out on a trip to Africa.
That's nice. Maybe just take her out to dinner first and catch up a little bit. That seems like a risky one. What if you guys don't like each other?
Kind of like Uncle Lou and Will. Will
yeah,
and his
right.
dad.
Yeah, like what are you thinking? But Jack Hayes, I think this happens to a lot of people. She's just getting cold feet, Steve.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of brides do, I'm sure, man. Or people, anybody going into a wedding. And Sheila, who is one of the sister's friends, she's helping Tamara pack. And she's going to Africa, like I said, with her real dad. And it looks like she's got like 16 bags.
And also, I would be like, look, if I am her dad, I'm like, I'm already fitting the bill for an Africa trip. This is like this is like $600 an extra charge. You got to pull some of this. Is some Spaceballs level luggage that we got. Remember the princess in that? She's got all the luggage that they're pulling around. Maybe you don't. Maybe that's a fucking messed up reference. But she's got about 16 hundo in luggage. And like, what are you planning on doing? I mean, there's only so much to do. I mean, where are you going in Africa that there's this much nightlife?
Women be shopping, man.
I get you. Women be shopping, Steve.
And then as that's going on, Roger pulls up, Mr. Batman from Immature himself, and he tells Tamara, we got some unfinished business. So he puckers up, and he thinks she's about to kiss him. But she's just like, go home, Roger. Yes. We need that.
It gets a pop.
Yes.
And he's like, you got me one last time, girl.
For any finale, we need that fucking catchphrase. That's another thing. For Happy Days, Fonz is supposed to say, hey. For Family Matters, Steve is supposed to say, did I do that? For Sister, one of them motherfuckers is supposed to say, go home, Roger.
We got it.
We got it.
Check the box, Steve. Checked. Yeah. So now something I forget exactly. Is this where we go to the mall? Because Lisa's got to get some shoes. She doesn't like her shoes for the wedding.
Lisa goes shoe shopping with Tia, and then the salesman, he's being sassy with them, and so they have a back and forth. And then we see Ray and Tamara, they show up, and the salesman is being sassy with them too, and so. Your daughter asked for this specific shoe. That's what the salesman said. And they bump into each other just like the pilot. They're like not even knowing that the other is at the same place. And they basically replicate that same scene.
Mom? We've got the same face. But shout out to the actual shoe store guy who's French. It's been 6 years in the show. Guy's still at the shoe store, so he ain't doing well. And he came all the way from France to work in a shoe store. And I don't get that.
David, and it's the same guy from the pilot.
Is. They show it. They show the scene. And he's very French. You think I don't know your daughter? Making the snide comments. But they do it, Steve. And they find some shoes. Which I don't even get. I don't know why they need it. I guess Jack A just needed to go shopping one more time,
I mean, you got to look fresh and fly for the wedding day. I mean, even the people who aren't even in the wedding, you got to put on your best of bestest.
Yeah.
Your bestest of best.
Roger does. He
Does
puts on that weird little. I don't even know what you call that.
Yeah, I know you had a comment about it.
It looked like it looked like some sort of priest collar thing. I don't know, man. I've seen it before, but it's like
That
you got to
wasn't
be
his
a
best.
certain level of player to do that, and Roger just didn't have it right there.
Roger really should have went home.
Yeah, he should have
Like,
gotten a tie
Yeah.
just to get a
Put,
tie.
put a
dude.
tie on that shit, dog. But it's good that Roger's there because it's a part of the closure for us fans.
Well, I guess he sang too. He was there to sing, but we didn't
Apparently.
get that. Apparently, they cut that out. So I don't get that. Hulu or whoever we watch that with. That's weird.
And Lisa, she's going back and forth. She just has this mindset of like things just will never be the same again.
But people keep talking her out of it. But then they get to the church,
Yeah.
and shout out because we just realized it in the moment. But the Reverend is actually the janitor from Abbott Elementary. If anybody's watching that. And this reverend's like, let's talk before the ceremony. I just want to let you know of a few things. And this guy goes on just a speech about family and making a family breakup is like putting that like a ship breaking on the rocks in the ocean, which is not what Jack A wanted to hear. It's not what Lisa wanted to hear.
He scares her straight. And that brother is William Stanford Davis. Shout out to him.
I love that guy's hilarious. He's hilarious in this. He's a little doomsday, but it sends Lisa in a spiral. So instead of being ready to get married like she has been or off and on, she says, you know what? Fuck this. Busts out, tries to catch a cab, can't catch a cab, catches a bus.
The fucking bus. And this is another series finale where there's a marriage and the bride is like by herself.
Yep.
Like, well, I'm not familiar. I thought this is what I thought. The bride and the groom, they're just huddled with people who like are important to them.
Yeah.
Like the groom's got his dudes, his family members, his homeboys. The bride, she's got her homegirls and like all of her aunts and mom and grandma, all that shit. But like not Blanche, but Dorothy, just like Lisa on Sister, like y'all just by yourself. Like why?
Solo, dude. You got to take stock. You got to get that one last minute of peace before you're with somebody for the rest of your life. You know what? I think that's what it was.
That's what the bachelorette party for.
Well, she must not have gotten one because she's still having second thoughts. She hops on that Greyhound. It's not really a Greyhound. It's a city bus. And we don't even know where she's going. But that veil almost gets caught in that bus tire, Steve. I was worried she was going to get yanked out of the door. But thankfully, Lisa makes it to where she needs to go. But she leaves everybody else at the church, including, what's her name of her beau-to-be? Victor. And Victor's, he doesn't know what the fuck. He's like, man, she's left, man. She's standing me up. So the good reverend's like, let me come take you back to the rectory and just imbibe you with with the spirit. And he walks him in, and they're like, what are you going to do? He's like, the spirit's Jack Daniels, motherfucker. So he's getting this dude sauced. And shout out, I love that. Great idea.
And shout out to Ray because he's playing quarterback. He tells Jordan and Tyreek, like, hey, you guys take care of the spirits. Keep that rum bowl flowing. And then y'all, I think he talks to Tia and Tamara. He's like, y'all just keep the guests entertained. Like, keep them up to date on what's going on.
Yeah, and he goes off, and then we cut to Jackie, who's at the Funkadelic. Is that what it was called?
I think that's what, yeah.
And shout out to that. That's a dope name for a bar. We go in. It's a dive bar. It's got a lady. Looks a little out of place in modern times. Foxy. Definitely, and she is foxy. I dig that blonde afro.
She is foxy.
But she's wild. Jack A wants to get a little drink. She doesn't know how to make the drink, so she gets a little cherry Coke. They start talking. And, I guess really Jack A's just sort of reliving like her good old days and talking about partying and stuff. But she's not a partier anymore, Steve. She's a mom.
And it takes talking to Foxy to realize that because Foxy, she thought she was Sandra. And it was a shout out. It was a shout out to 227 because she says, "Oh, you the one with the big hair and the tight skirts. You Sandra, right?
You the girl with the ping pong balls. You used to shoot them shits out, right?
Always coming in with a different dude." And she was like, "No, I'm Lisa." And then she was like, well, you know what? I like you, Lisa. We need to hit the town. And we need to take some shots. And then we need to, start entertaining some younger men. And show
I got a guy who got a little booger sugar if you need to get excited.
That part.
I like that, too. That's a bartender, Steve. That's a good bartender. Plugged in, ready to help out, ready to party.
Where are you at right
Foxy,
now,
dude.
Miss Foxy?
What was her last name?
Foxy Jones.
Foxy Jones. Shout out Foxy Jones, dude. I hope you're still working at Funkadelic. It's going to be a little weirder. It's 20 years in the future. I don't know if it's as pretty, but
Well,
she's still partying.
and we're obviously younger than her because that's what she wanted. She wanted some young men, even with a husband.
You could have gone in. You could have gone into Funkadelic, Steve, and gotten Funkadelic with that bit. Funkadelic, you know?
Atomic. But yeah, while that's going on, Ray finds Lisa. He tracks her down like a bloodhound. And I think he said because that's the place he went to.
He said he went to his favorite bar on his wedding day. So I don't know if it was the Funkadelic.
Okay.
But Ray seemed to have a little some with Foxy. She knows who Ray is, which we find out later. But he shows up. I think, Lisa's relieved. But Ray really gives a nice speech, a loving speech. And he's like, if anyone deserves happiness, it's you. You've given up your life. You've moved in with me. You've taken care of these kids. You've become a friend to me, and you deserve this. You don't need to be afraid of this. You don't want to be in this bar, this hot-ass woman.
Yeah.
Trying to pull your titty balls out.
Yeah, I'm going to take your spot. I'm going to escort you to the wedding, and then I'm going to circle back.
I thought Ray was going to ask Foxy to come to be his date. You know?
Ray's too uppity though,
Yeah.
but I got you though, Foxy. And shout out to Victor too, because I mentioned this off camera, man, that like he's played by Beyonce's real life stepdad, Richard Lawson. He married Beyonce's mom quite some years ago, and his daughter is hot. Like one of Bianca Lawson.
Okay.
That's his real daughter, and
Very
she's
stripper name.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of stripperish.
it fits because she's like one of the hottest women, not just from the 90s. I feel like she's like one of the hottest like black actresses ever, despite not having the accolades.
Shout out Bianca Lawson. Must suck to be the stepsister to Beyonce though, because then you're never gonna live up to that.
Yeah.
Is she hotter than Beyonce, Steve?
It
Into your
depends.
fucking head.
Depends on who you ask. I'm gonna stand on this mountain and say Bianca Lawson's way. No, she's badder. I ain't gonna say way badder because Beyonce's Beyonce. Bianca Lawson is the shit.
Well, there you have it, guys. If you wanted a hot take, there it is. Bianca Lawson, not way hotter, but hotter than Beyonce. And I hope the Beehive's not watching because we're dead.
Oh well.
I think we're dead because I think Twitter. I think we just got kicked off of whatever the stream was. So.
Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually, but we're still on here. If that's the case, then TikTok, I'm gonna need you to eat it. But yeah, we're back to the wedding, and Victor is smashed at this point. He had so much spirits in him that like
he's just he's filled with the Holy Spirit. I didn't know that's what it meant. Shit, I would have gone to church for way longer if I knew that.
all we got was Welch's.
Yeah, exactly. I got a little shot of grape juice. Some bullshit.
And
Shout out to Catholics though, because they're the only ones that actually get to drink real alcohol. I feel like they actually got the real deal.
Catholics?
Yeah, I think at St. Rose they were getting a little saucy.
Okay.
You want to know what
Probably
my
getting
church?
touched.
You want to know? Yeah, I mean that's shout out to Catholics because they were getting that too. So yeah, maybe if it's not as cool, but you know what my church did that I thought was very weird. Usually when you do that, right? And this is a sidetrack. This is way off, but I just remembered this. Usually you go to church communion, you get a little like shot glass, a little plastic little cup for everybody. Everybody gets a one. My church, big hunk of bread, pimp chalice filled with juice, and they would dip the bread in the juice. You would get a little hunk of the bread, you would dip it. You wouldn't drink it because you didn't want to. I guess everybody putting their lips on it, and you just have to eat this soggy, disgusting piece of bread. So I didn't get that. Wasn't very religious. I was just fat and hungry. So I don't know, Steve.
What part of the Bible is that?
Yeah, that's lazy. I don't think Jesus would have appreciated that.
Yeah, that's why we don't do that kind of thing. I don't do that kind of thing.
We're finally getting a wedding. We're finally getting what we wanted. Lisa,
She's
happy,
here.
even Roger's singing, walking down the aisle, and it's beautiful. And then we just get like a montage of this wedding, and it's just everything you want, Steve. Fuck the cold feet. It's all love. And I don't think we mentioned this, but Ray, he's going to be going to the capital of Michigan, which
That's true.
and he's going to get a new job working on campaign finance reform.
With the commissioner.
Yeah, so Ray might be getting into some shit. He's getting into some dirty. That's where the real dirty politics is. So I don't know if Ray's altruistic or if he's about to get in some real money. But either way, dude, Ray, he's off to bigger and better things too.
Tim Reed is one of the good ones.
Yeah, you're right. He's got morals, Steve. He's gonna go clean up the swamp.
Yeah, he was on WKRP in Cincinnati, so he's good. He's an Ohio boy. That's his roots.
Damn, that's a deep cut. There's no one listening to this that has any idea what that is, Steve.
Yeah, you TikTokers probably wouldn't understand. But on that same day in '99, is that it for Sister?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Other than we got robbed of a Roger just singing that I would have loved to see. I don't know why it was taken away. It's probably a royalties thing. But again, shame on anyone who's a stream. Like, I don't get the laws. I don't understand copyright where we can't see this shit, and I don't appreciate it. So shame on whoever. Shame on you.
Yeah, you shouldn't have made Roger go home.
Yeah, fuckers.
On that same day in '99, WWF is airing Over the Edge from Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. And they start this off with the memoriam for Owen Hart. This is obviously the one where we lose Owen Hart. He was in character as the Blue Blazer. He was supposed to have a match with the Godfather in the Intercontinental match. And, he's supposed to come down superhero style, but there was something up with the rig. He dropped 78 feet, and that was the story.
It was on this pay-per-view.
On this pay-per-view. And
I mean, dude. And honestly, it's crazy because when you look back, like Shawn Michaels doing his thing, coming out of the rafters and stuff, there were so many times where they did this.
He did it several
Maybe
times.
they got like lackadaisical. I don't know. But what a fucking awful thing, dude.
Well, Shawn Michaels is Vince McMahon's boy toy, so he's going to make sure it's okay for him.
Yeah, right.
But one of them hearts,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, Vince, some of these screws are coming out. He's like,
Yeah.
fuck it. I gotta go do some tea. I gotta do some tea and some C.
Life's a gamble anyway, pal.
That's crazy. And the fact that they had to just wrestle through it. They had to just keep going. I'm sure everybody knew backstage what the fuck happened. The people in the audience had to keep watching wrestling. It's just wild, dude.
Yeah.
It's what you have to do, but
It's one of them things, man, where like everybody wants to be a boss, but when it comes to making boss decisions, that's when people get scared like a deer in headlights.
I guess the show had to go on. But
It had to.
goddamn, that's a fucking awful thing to have to move on to in real time like that.
It's business. And his widow, Martha, she sued them because it was a dangerous stunt and they didn't plan it right, obviously. So WWF, they settled out of court for $18 million, which is the equivalent of $32 million these days to the Hart surviving family. And right after that match, there was a mixed tag match with Jeff Jarrett and Deborah versus Nicole Bass and Val Venus. Everybody, well, I can't speak for Val Venus and Nicole Bass, but I know that Jeff Jarrett and Deborah were good friends with Owen Hart. They had a partnership of sorts, and Jeff Jarrett comes out wearing sunglasses. Obviously, they're distraught, man. I remember watching this in real time, and they actually had an interview before the match, and they're fighting the tears. The tears are out.
If you were buddies with that guy and you had to do that, I don't know how. I mean, shout out to them, like you said. I can't imagine that, but I didn't see this. I don't know if you can even see that at all anymore. Did you see it today?
I didn't look on YouTube. It might be available, but I vividly remember it because I mean that's rare, bro. We were at Devin's, who he would always get the pay-per-views, and they had the interview before the match, just kind of doing a shoot or whatever, and like the tears were already out, but they were fighting them, man. And then like as they're coming out, Deborah, she's smiling, looking hot as she is, and you could tell it's like, this is work. Yeah. She's doing, like, she's smiling. And it's like, damn, I lost one of my friends. So shout out to wrestlers. I always say, like, man, I give them respect because they literally put their lives on the line for our entertainment. And not only that, when stuff like this happens, you have to stay in character because that is your 9 to 5. And this is hard. I imagine this would be hard, especially in this situation, man. Like,
hopefully somebody gave Nicole Bass like a real hard shot just to, get some of those tension out.
bruh. So speaking of that, in this match, Deborah, she gives her a guitar shot because she's Jeff Jarrett's tag team partner, and that doesn't phase her.
I
So
love that.
Jeff Jarrett picks up the guitar, hits her in the back. Or no, he doesn't even hit her. Before he hits her, Val Venus gives like a backward suplex, and he does his little money shot or whatever. And Val Venus and Nicole Bass win the match. But this was hilarious. Val Venus, he always has a saying. He comes out, he's like, I know Kansas is the show me state, even though they're in St. Louis or Kansas City, Missouri. I know Kansas is the show me state, but if you show me yours, I'll show you mine. And Jim Ross is like, I guess he wasn't a A+ student in geography.
Nice job, JR. I love that. I love Val Venus, too. Shout out Val Venus. Hello, ladies. But yeah, I mean, we watched some of this.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, man, and like overall, the pay-per-view wasn't great. I mean, it's known for this, and they actually discontinued this because of the stink that was on it, and they started, like, in its place, started naming it Judgment Day.
Yeah, it gave me an Undertaker, the version of Undertaker I don't care for.
That ministry shit.
But we got a nice Stone Cold. I mean, he was out there kicking ass.
Yeah.
Got some good rock shit. I love that. The thing he did with the with the Mexican food line.
I speak Spanish. I'm gonna kick your monkey assy jabroni or some shit like that. I'm gonna kick your
He
monkey
didn't throw an
assy.
L or anything in. I mean, he just went weird with it. But
Yeah.
it's The Rock, dude.
It's
It's
The
all
Rock.
about the delivery. So, but yeah, I mean, the fact they even had a whole pay-per-view. That's a miracle in and of itself. But yeah, there's a lot of stink on this one for obvious reasons, and we lost. I mean, who knows how cool our Owen Hart would have been if he would have kept going,
Yeah.
But man, what a fuck! What a
Maybe-
fuck up!
Maybe he would have went to WCW and came back. Who knows, man? But on that same day in '99, the final episode of Unhappily Ever After airs on the WB, and I lost traction after the first season. It's like, okay, this is like a more modern Married with Children, but and it's got like a little talking stuffed puppet with Bobcat Goldthwait as the voice.
Yeah,
But
and a hottie.
Oh yeah,
Hottie.
Nikki Cox.
Nikki Cox being hot, but I was never into the show ever, other than just obviously the Nikki Cox thing. So, I don't really have a lot to say other than that. But, how many seasons?
5 seasons.
Damn.
100 episodes.
WB.
So, WB. Like
did
it was.
it.
It was one of the staple shows because it started off with Wayans Brothers, Unhappily Ever After, and Parenthood. And when you make 5 seasons, man, that's syndication territory. So they won. I remember posting about the debut of this show on our Facebook, and one of the followers commented, "Mom, can we watch Married with Children? We got Married with Children at home." It's one of them kind of deals, like where you get the watered down version of the Bundy family, but we do get Nikki Cox. And Bob can't go.
I'm a bunny or whatever he was, a rat. I don't know what it was.
This is a stuffed bunny, I think.
It looked like the thing that Martin fights when they go to Chilligan's Island.
Damn it, Gina, that ain't no puppet. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or switcheroos, sir?
I've been mentioning it throughout, but X-Men 97. They brought it back. They brought that cartoon back, and they finished the first season of it, and I have no notes. I don't know if it was perfect, but it's as close to perfect as we can get, especially for something that's not a reboot, but like I guess you would call it, or whatever it is. They brought it back. It's actually, to me, better than or as good as the original. The animation's way better, obviously, but congratulations to them for actually doing this, because I was scared. I thought it was going to suck. And it's something so big in my childhood that I would have been fucking pissed about it if they did. And they didn't. They did it justice, and they incorporated something from my childhood that when I was actually into comic books, I got the episode or the comic book where Wolverine got his adamantium ripped out of his body, and they actually brought that into a cartoon on Disney Plus. And the guy's name's Bo DeMeo, who was like the showrunner. Should be given the keys to the castle because the show they completely killed it. So that's all I gotta say.
You hear that, Disney?
Yeah, I mean props because I think a lot of people have been getting kind of pissed at Marvel in general because the movies have been kind of mid. The shows have been okay, and I like the shows for the most part, but it just hasn't lived up to I think like Endgame and Infinity War and stuff, and they finally did something, bringing something back justice. You know,
it has been the talk of the town, man, and I've seen it like on my timeline where people are saying it's woke and.
That's bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just people wanting to critique something and find something. But isn't X-Men inherently woke anyway? Because it was about inclusion, about people feeling neglected and being left out. So if you want to call it woke, I mean, then I guess you never liked X-Men.
If you know, you know.
So there you go, Steve. Thanks for the support. But what about you?
Man, I want to shout out to Home Improvement in 1995. They aired their 100th episode, Wilson's Girlfriend. They could have done better for the 100th episode. I love that show. But also in 1991, Seinfeld is airing The Chinese Restaurant. That's considered a classic.
Yep.
And
I remember that, and I wasn't into Seinfeld, so that's definitely up there.
Yeah, man. And, dude, it's just good to be here, man, in Ohio. And being around love, being around like people who give a fuck about me, and like for people who don't know, man, like I've known this guy since 8th grade, and like I knew of him in 8th grade. I didn't know him until like high school. We would eventually become like roommates freshman year in college, and like we stayed in touch, man. I couldn't ask for a better person to do this shit with.
Hell yeah, dude. I love having you. We love having you. I wish we could do this more because this is dope. Same room, streaming, having fun, smoking a couple, hanging out. Got to see Bill Burr. I mean, shit, dude.
One of the goats,
Hell
man.
yeah. What a great time, man. And I love having you, man. It's been great. Still is great.
Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister she smells like rotten beef carcasses. Check out Food Show Fanatics with Kendra B and Matt G, and also our guy Clark the Shark in the podcast. So this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the flat kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!